So this Thursday, I was feeling pretty good about things. The sermon was pretty much done, and church service was going to happen, and everything was flowing fine. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew that Mother's Day was coming up somewhere, and I should probably track this. So I checked the calendar and realized that, oh yeah, Mother's Day, this Sunday. So this is not going to be a typical Mother's Day sermon. But then you probably weren't expecting typical anyway, so here we are. So, in getting ready for this sermon, I read through the passages in the lectionary like I usually do, and they're listed on the back of your bulletin. So I read the Acts, and I read the Psalm, and I read the Peter, and then I read John 14. And I went, wow, like there's 1,000 sermons there. We could do John 14 for the rest of our lives and not exhaust John 14. And I thought to myself, yeah, but do I believe this? Which is a big question, because that's my job, right? To believe this. Listen to this. I go to prepare a place for you, and I will come again and take you to myself, that where I am, there you may also be. No one comes to the Father or the Mother except through me. I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. The one who believes in me will do the works that I do. If in my name you ask me for anything, I will do it. Do you really believe that? Well, of course, there's a prior step. Before you can ask the question, do you really believe that? You have to ask the question, what does this mean? Right? Because there's no point in trying to believe something unless you actually know what it means. Some of us don't like communicating via email and text. Because the problem with email and text is you lose so much of the communication. Right? You don't get to see, you don't get to hear tone of voice, you don't get to see facial expression, you don't get to wave your arms in appropriate ways when things need to be emphasized. And so text often leads to a lot of miscommunication. You read an email and you get it completely wrong, and then you respond wrong, and then someone else responds even wronger, and it just all goes bad from there. Right? And so as we're having this conversation, I can imagine God saying, boy, you think text is hard, you should try inspiration sometime. Right? So we've got this inspired text, but all we've got is text, and all God had was inspiration. So we've got to sort of work our way through that as we think about this. There's another problem, I think, in these texts. There's another problem in these texts, and that is the problem that we know them already, and so we think we understand them. And as we get older, our brains sort of start to track in patterns. Right? There's these grooves that we born into our brain, and we think, well, this automatically means that, and so our brain automatically goes there. And it's really hard, especially as we get older, I'm discovering, to unlearn things. And I think this is a passage that needs a lot of unlearning before we can figure out what it means, because we sort of, at least many of us, think we got this already. And maybe it doesn't, but our brain keeps going back there anyway. So we're going to maybe need to do some unlearning today. I don't know. So we need to start with context. And the context is that Jesus, at this part in the Gospel of John, is leaving his disciples. He's going to die. He's going to go away. And he's been their rabbi. He's been their teacher all of these years. And now he's going to go away. And so how? Because it's sort of hard to have a Jesus movement without a Jesus. It's sort of hard to have a rabbi when he's gone. So this is all the answer to that question. So we need to understand this is the question that's being answered. So we need to understand how this is an answer to that question. So Jesus says, where I am, there you will also be. There you may also be. Right? So there was a song not so many years ago about that. I don't know if any of you followed contemporary Christian music. I tend not to. Right? But, right, there I am, there you may also be. Where the truth will set you free, in the world you will have trouble, but I leave you my peace. That where I am, you may also be. I won't sing it for you. Right? But one of the things that the song helped me understand is that where I am, Jesus' present tense, right, is not heaven. Jesus says, I'm going to be here with you, where I am. Right? And that am is not right, far away. That am is right here. That am is a place of truth and ultimately the place of love inside of community. Right? John is the community gospel. Everything in John that's good happens inside of community, and everything bad means loss of community. So John is always the us gospel. Right? I often tell my students in class that if you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, that's fine, but John would have no idea what you're talking about. Right? John wants you to have a communal relationship with Jesus Christ. Right? So that's the where I am, there you may also be. That inside of community, that Jesus has not abandoned his community, and in fact, it goes on. And it becomes greater because of Jesus leaving and not less. The disciples are not being abandoned, they're being empowered. There, so that where I am, there you may also be. So what Jesus is offering here is not rescue, but ongoing relationship. That this relationship the disciples had with Jesus, the earthly presence, continues to be a relationship with Jesus, the earthly presence, but in a different sort of way. So then, right, because Jesus says this is all possible because of relationship. Right? Because of our relationship with each other, because of our relationship with Jesus, and because of Jesus' relationship with God. I am in the mother, and the mother is in me. To transpose it a bit. And sometimes the mother chases, right? That's where it goes, right? So this connection, right, is offered to us. And sometimes we get this question really wrong. Because sometimes, right, quite often comes out of this is the whole question of incarnation. Is Jesus really God? What does it mean for Jesus to be God? How can God be human, and how can a human be God? Right? That's not John's question. John's question isn't really a question so much as it is a statement, and his statement is, if you want to understand God, you have to look at Jesus. Right? So the question is not, is Jesus God-shaped? But the question is your God Jesus-shaped? Because there are lots of shapes we have for God. Right? Is your God really about success? Well, that's not a Jesus-shaped God, because Jesus wasn't successful in most ways of understanding success. Is your God fundamentally about victory? Right? Well, Jesus ends up dying on a cross. Not victory in the typical sense. So the statement, I am in the Father and the Father is in me, says much more about God than it does about Jesus. Is your God Jesus-shaped? Right? So then, you come to God through Jesus. You understand God through Jesus, but you also understand God, therefore, through love. Because in John, that's what it's always about, over and over again. For Jesus, that's what it's about. Right? It's about the love the Father has for the Son. It's about the love the Son has for us. It's the love we have for each other, and it just keeps going round and around and around. And this unity is offered to us. Jesus says, I am in the Father and the Father is in me. And we're supposed to be able to say that too. Never heard a human being say that. But that's what atonement is supposed to be all about. To become one with God. But, right, we reach for that insofar as we reach for love. And as long as we are reaching for love and guided by love, that's the direction we're moving. I am in the Father, and the Father is in me, and no one comes to the Father except this way. Right? Through me, through love. I am the way. This is the way. So then the works that we do are the works of the creation of a community of love. This is our task. This was Jesus' task. Jesus is not here talking about miracles. Because when Jesus, in other places of the Gospel of John, talks about works, it's primarily not about miracles, it's about being this community of love. Because that was the work that God gave Jesus, to create this community. This is not really a passage that's about miracles, about how many miracles we do. And that's a good thing, because most of us tend not to do a lot of miracles. We go, so what are we going to do with this passage? Jesus says, no. Right? That's not what this is about. It's about loving one another, and loving God, and just sort of all this continuation of this thing we've been doing now for 2,000 years, sometimes better than others. The idea is just keep working at this. Don't ever stop working at this love. And then, of course, there's all this father language, right, which you don't really notice until you start adding. You go, wow, there was 12 fathers in that passage. Right, and you notice, I know, some of you may have noticed it was a bit jarring to hear mother. Again, this is about relationship, but it's still, there's just a voice in the back of my head screaming, smash the patriarchy, smash the patriarchy. It's sort of an odd kind of sermon, but one of my daughters is still in there. Here's where I get worried. I get worried when I like an explanation I have for something. It always makes me nervous. Do I like this because it's right? Or do I like this because I like it? And I think it should be right. So ultimately, I think I want to leave this passage very much in the realm of mystery. That I don't want to claim to have understood and explained it to you. That if you don't like parts of it, neither do I. But I think it works. But again, it's this thing of, I got this pattern. I still think where I am, you may also be, should really be about heaven, because that's what I learned when I was a little boy, and it's still there in my head. So I invite you this morning into the mystery. But also into the experience of love. And this morning on Mother's Day, I think most of us would probably say that what we know about love, we learn in large part from our mothers. This is hopefully one of the things our mothers taught us. Hopefully one of the things the mothers here are continuing to teach their children. So insofar as this is a Mother's Day sermon, I invite you to take a few minutes to reflect on what you learned about love from your mother. And also what you learned about love from God, the Mother. And to dedicate the coming week to be guided by that. That when you come across a question in your week, when you go, should I do this or should I do that? The answer should always be, I want to do the most loving thing. So I invite you into a time of reflection.